and we want the fans out of their seat. We want to score goals. We want to get them, momentum on our side, and then on the flip side is when we don't have the ball, is it we got to be dogs.
Into the corner, it's what his team needed, and then right back into the game.
And we are live. Oh, let me bring in our crew here. I am not sure what happened. But there, we're all here. We're all here. That's right. There we go. Somehow y'all ended up in the green room, but that's what happens when you're tweaking right up to showtime. Welcome, everyone, to Afterburn Soccer. My name is Nathan Hill. I'm the host, the convener of this here podcast, this conversation. We talk about FC Dallas and North Texas Soccer Club, maybe even a dash of United States men's national team, transfer rumors and other goodies, whatever we get to. And, of course, we welcome those viewers out there, if you're watching with us on YouTube, to share your own comments, your own questions in the channel, so in the chat, so we can respond as we go along. Welcome here with our good buddy Colin at Mr. Couve on X, and our good buddy Jose at El Chico Carmona on
What's
X.
up?
And of course, you can follow Afterburn Soccer on X over at Afterburn Soccer. Yeah. So let's get right into it. Let's start with kind of the main headline piece, which is 3-game homestand, 3 losses, 9 goals given up by our beloved FC Dallas squad. 0 points in what's become now just a worsening disaster of a season, although still games to be played. There's still changes to be made and to come, which we can get to later. But let's just a loss at home to Minnesota United FC, who's, hey, a good team. They're having a good season. All of these teams that we played are in good form, having a good season. But a 2-1 loss, both goals coming off of set pieces where the back post was left. The last player was just left wide open. Easy peasy. And FC Dallas does get a consolation goal from Logan Farrington, who I think did have a good solid game in this. I mean, he worked his butt off. But just more disappointment. More disappointment on a night with fireworks and festivities and more. So let's just get instant reactions to the match on Friday night. Colin, we'll start with you.
Man, looking at the game Friday night, something that, like, where do I even begin, man? It was just it's 2 teams that don't like possession. It's 2 teams that are bottom of the barrel of MLS with possession, and we knew it was going to be kind of like how we saw it in Minnesota at home earlier this season. It was a fight, and it was for sure a scrap in a scrappy game. We were able to fight a 0-0 draw there after some close chances. Coming to this one, I knew it was going to be probably a little bit tougher, obviously, because we just can't seem to get anything going at home. Let alone the type of opponent we'd have with our injuries as well. Adding Nolan, who's out probably until early August, or honestly a couple months possibly. Kamungo's on the boot, probably out for another couple weeks. Losing some of that depth means that Farrington got to start, which is something I've been wanting for pretty much the whole season, or at least the past couple games, wanting him to start. And the lineup, honestly, is probably our best lineup we have available to play Minnesota and to play against Minnesota with how they play. It's just, like Quill said in the press conference, it's like the one thing I could agree with that press conference was that we switched off at like we seem to lose concentration and switch off at the worst times, and it happens. Shaq Moore's foul on the first goal, and then leaving the back post unmarked. It's one of the easiest goals I've seen us concede in probably the history of FC Dallas. And then the second one, Ibiaga, man, what like I don't understand why he is making a deadhead sprint across the back of Abubakar, who is in between the man and the goal, who can most likely get a deflection or get a head on the ball that's going towards him. He starts deadheading, does the number one thing as a defender that you're told not to do, and drops your head to head the ball away. But when you drop your head, you can't see the ball. He misses the ball. Shaq's like, okay, he's got it, and again, they got on the back post. Um, yeah, it's again wide open. People are blaming Shaq for that goal. No, I'm blaming Ibiaga for that goal. And then the rest of the game went as you would expect. I mean, Logan Farrington fought back. The introduction of Sarver in the 89th minute with Augusto in the 90th seemed to like kick this team into high gear for 5 minutes, and the energy that Sam Sarver brought to the first team is honestly the only people I saw working as hard as him when he came in would be people like Musa and even Shaq Moore or Legit when he was on the field. It seems like the team at home doesn't give it their all like they do on the road. On the road, they're always going, they're always running, they're always fighting. But at home, they're contempt or they're very, very relaxed. Which I mean, you can't be. You're at home. If anything, you need to be attacking and striking and taking advantage of the home field advantage that you have. But that, and then with the post game antics of Quill not even going by the fans, going to the opposite exit for the post game stuff, and then um, Ibiaga and some other players yelling back at fans based on their displeasurement. It's not a good look for Dallas, and it makes me wonder if maybe Quill has possibly lost the locker room a little bit, but it makes me worried in that instance. But overall, the game wise, not. It's what I expected. Like I said, a loss in the predictions last week, but then also it's just one of those things where I think it's time for I think it's time for change. Whether that's Quill doing something completely different or Quill possibly getting the boot. I don't know, but I kind of feel bad for Quill. I think we should give him another year. Let this year be a rebuild year. Get your kids from North Texas that you think are going to be good for next season for your roster, and then we have a bunch of people's contract expiring this like summer. Can them, axe them. Yeah, you lose a little bit of transfer fee money. Who cares? Get rid of them and rebuild this dang roster with all the GAM and money we have because it doesn't expire anymore. So if we're not going to use it now in the summer, use it next winter and start cooking and building the roster again.
Well, yeah, and I guess I didn't even see all of those post game antics that those the kind of things happen, and that's really disappointing. Especially since it seemed like the crowd was, the typical 4th of July crowd, some good energy out there to watch the guys, and that those fireworks always add a little extra extra eyes and ears showing up. But yeah, that we'll get to that question about Quill in just a bit. But let's hear from you, kind of your reactions to this loss at home against Minnesota.
It's just a continuation of what we saw the previous two matches. I mean, I talked about it, even before this 3-match home stretch, that this would be a perfect time for Dallas to turn things around at home, and we got, the opposite, and it's not a coincidence now that your team is, switching off at home and being locked in on the road, and frankly, I don't know if this last 3 games is an indication that Quill is in fact losing the players. I mean, something's got to be causing them to get switched off, and you got to start there. You got to start with the coaching staff. I mean, come on, it's everyone can see it, So it could simply be as simple as that. It could be simply that we need a change. I mean, we saw. Sure, we've all complained about the injuries, and all that, and Quill, switching between formations and whatnot, you have to wonder if this has had an effect on the team. And it's simply, I don't know. I mean, you can keep saying the players keep switching off, but that's on the coaching staff. That they have to be better prepared. They have to be, even if they're switched off, they have to.
Yeah.
They still have to play. They still have to be in the right position. You even you're seeing, like he said, like Koo said, that goal on that set piece was ridiculously easy. I mean, any one of us probably could have done that goal. That's how easy that looked. That he was just standing there, unmarked, and that was just frustrating. That right there told you what was going to happen the rest of the game. I mean, it was very hard to get up for the game after that. After you saw that goal, and you're like, my goodness, you're playing a team that's known for their set pieces, and you're making simple mistakes against a team who's that good, uh, who's that's their strength, and you're making simple mistakes. I mean, you knew they were going to score again at that point. So it's just frustrating for everybody. I mean, I'm the most optimistic of persons, and just seeing this the way it's going. I mean, we're running out of time. I mean, the management has to make a decision. If the team needs to turn around soon, they need to basically sit down with Quill and at least let them know what's going on. Set what they expect from him, and can't be, oh, we got to at least make the playoffs. that's their
Yeah.
that's their pitch every year. So look, I'm for giving Quill a chance, but I'd like to see the ownership come out and say if Quill's their man, they need to come out and say it publicly and say, hey, we're gonna stick with Quill. It's his first year. He's got the whole year. There's no pressure on him. We just want him to get this team straightened out. And if we're not gonna make the playoffs, at least point the team in the right direction where we can say, oh yeah, this team next year will definitely, it's finishing the season strong, even though it's not making the playoffs. I think we'd be okay with that. But I think it's to the point where ownership needs to step in and at least either say Quill's on the hot seat or say, no, he's our guy for the rest of the year. Because I think that would also help Quill a lot and the roster a lot, knowing that their manager is here for the duration of the year, regardless of where the team finishes. That might help. I'm not saying that's the answer, but
Yeah.
it's time to start discussing that because this there's a lot of blame to go around. As to why this team's performing this way, and it's the players, it's the manager, it's upper management. Someone's got to figure it out. The fans are starting to lose their patience. I mean, I can't remember the last time this team lost 3 matches in a row at home. Not draws, not lost points, like just flat out losses.
Yeah, and I mean, Quill noted that they were prepared for Minnesota's being a counterattacking set piece team. This is what Minnesota has been doing. To their credit, it's really what FC Dallas should be doing. I mean, more teams in this league should be looking for every little edge, especially if they don't spend on the roster like some other teams do. But FC Dallas has a pretty decent spend on this roster. To have these disappointing of results, there's just so many questions. And we talk sometimes in the sports world, every time management says, oh no, that coach, he's our guy, whatever. And then they're fired 2 weeks later. So they may not want to do that, but yeah, I mean, to hear hear folks say, hey, this hasn't gone the way we wanted. We recognize the roster isn't fitting where Quill wants to take the team. We're going to be working on that to give Quill the chance to really implement his vision. I mean, that's one thing maybe to do. But I don't know if the front office wants to admit that either. So we'll have to see. But it's just, yeah, so many questions. In fact, let's jump over now. The post game, just to provide some context, the post game press conference is on YouTube. Anyone can go watch it. Fans can go watch it of the team, watch it later. And they have not been great the past couple of games, to say the least. The energy has been low. Quill has been in a quandary. But this one was especially odd because, and I say odd, I want to pick my words carefully, but it was just particularly heavy because there was a reporter in the room who asked about the game and about maybe the upcoming games, and Quill really deflected almost immediately and went right to the flooding, the horrific flooding that over 95 people missing as the latest news. It's just really sad. Children, families missing loved ones. There's just so much devastation, and he went right to that to say that there are bigger things going on. And in the moment it was like, what's going on? We're talking about a soccer game, and certainly we all appreciate words of love and support to people who are going through a lot, and I think there's something fine about that's fine to do that. I mean, I think he's done some things like that before. But yeah, it was just a really strange moment, and I think the folks who were on the call or in the room probably didn't have much context for what was going on. And so later on, we did find out that there may be, I believe there is. I think it's been confirmed, but I just don't want to. But a family member of connected closely to the organization who is missing and may have passed away. And so it's just really. So maybe it was personal. Maybe at some point during the game, before the game, Quill got word, and so it was on his mind too in the midst of a match. I mean that he was bringing that into it. But of course, reporters, we didn't quite know what was going on. So it was just a challenging moment. So his energy was low, but so we wish our best. By the way, I saw that. Dallas Beer Guardians have put up on their Twitter account a link to the Kear County Relief Fund, asking FC Dallas fans to make donations to support the long haul there of families who are still asking for questions, asking for answers, are looking for answers and looking for loved ones, as well as beginning to put the pieces back together bit by bit. But it's going to be a long road. So shout out to Dallas Beer Guardians for lifting that up. I hope FC Dallas fans respond. So, but let's listen to the question I was able to ask Quill after the match, which is just like, we know this team has prepared for Minnesota. What's the disconnect from the practice field to to the game? And here's Quill's response.
It's right in front of my eyes. The lack of consistency for a 95 or 98 minute, whatever the game is just glaringly obvious. We started out poor. And I don't understand. I mean, it's not me. We need to be aggressive here. We need to be getting in the faces of Minnesota and making them make mistakes and getting on the front foot. And we kind of were just existing for some reason. And that being said, we had really big chances in the first half. I mean, for not really bossing the game like we wanted to, we had I think 3 very big chances in the first half that we didn't put away. And fortunately, we know that's the margins in this league. If you don't, they get a corner kick and they put their chance away. And so it's just, I feel we're maybe a little, snake bit. I don't like it. I don't want to make excuses, but it's like I'd be a lot more worried if there wasn't chances to score. But for me, it's the goals we're giving up are more of the concern that I have is the switch off, the concentration switch off. So that's what set pieces is really a lot of concentration, and it's duels, staying in your duel if you're a blocker, attacking the ball if you're a zonal player, recognizing if there's a man available before the set piece is taken, communicating, all these things that these guys have been doing for a long time. So it's just I can tolerate losing when I feel like we've been beaten, and that's what's hard is I don't feel like we're being beaten. I feel like we're beating ourselves. And
we'll leave that there, that misery there. We feel like we're not being beaten, but we're beating ourselves. Yeah, I mean, what answer is there? So, well, let's just go ahead and go to that question then. We've already touched upon it. Rather than come back to it. Is Quill on the hot seat? I mean, we know the Hunts are a little slow. You know, they want to give coaches time. They like to hire coaches who are part of the family. Quill's definitely part of the FC Dallas family. They like to reward some loyalty. And so they like to be patient with some coaches. But this hasn't gotten better. This has gotten worse. I mean, I think maybe we had a few moments there earlier in the season where we thought, okay, something like this can work. This could come together. But then it's just unraveled. And your head coach is out there flailing for answers when he probably should say less, but he is. It's not fun. It's not fun. So Jose, in all honesty, I mean, is Quill on the hot seat?
Absolutely, yes. The team's performances at home are unacceptable. Um, you got a team right now that has shown it can win. It has shown it can earn points. It's doing it consistently on the road, and that it can't do it at home. Even though we're all scratching our heads about it, it's a strong issue. It's a strong negative against Quill and his staff. I mean, there's no real way to justify why the team switches off at home, but not on the road. It's wild. And yes, as long as the team continues to have this horrendous home form, yeah, he's got to be in the hot seat. I think if it was opposite, I think if it was he was doing fine at home and losing on the road, and we had the current record, we probably wouldn't be talking about that. We'd be like, but it's the fact that it's just. I mean, they can't even eke out a draw, for crying out loud. So yes, as long as his team continues to play this way at home, he has to be on the hot seat. It's simply unacceptable. It's got to change. You know, find a way to turn it around. I like I said, I don't have a problem with this team losing on the road if we're winning at home, and we're used to it. I think that's a little bit more acceptable, a lot easier to swallow than what we're seeing at home, and it's just hard. I mean, like I said, I'm a very optimistic person, and I keep hoping that they'll turn around. But the fact is, we're running out of time, and Quill is running out of time.
Colin, anything you want to add to that? Is Quill on the hot seat? Oh, you're muted.
100%. I mean, I think there's no manager in the world, whether it's your first season, 10th season, 20th season. I mean, look at Peter Vermees, man. People were thinking, will they ever get rid of him? And sure enough, funny enough, we were the ones that got rid of him. But any manager at any level is going to be on the hot seat for a team that's performing this bad. And I mean, here's the thing, right? Just because we lose players like Anderson Julio, Osaze, just because we lose these players does not mean that the whole roster, the whole team, because we lose two players, should go to complete and utter garbage. It does not mean that we should be sitting here scrambling because two players are out. All right, if we have a good roster and a decently built roster, we should have a roster that can compete in MLS. And I'm not going to sit here and try to compare us like an LAFC or a Seattle or a New York where or Miami, or Orlando, where it's like a hot spot or a popular place for these popular athletes to go to enjoy, whether it's the weather, the nightlife, the life there, whatever. It's Dallas. It's Frisco. We don't have that luxury. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and be like we should get Ronaldo tomorrow, but we should be able to sit here and build a roster. The fact that Osaze wasn't the first target at center back, and look at how good he is, and he's getting paid less in guaranteed compensation and base salary than Lawless and Ibiaga, baffles my mind. It makes me look in the mirror and be like, okay, we got two American center backs. Yeah, that's great. But why are they getting paid more than the player we paid $2 million for? It just baffles my mind. We look at the rest of the roster, and I think you got to look at like Show was on loan and he was making $462K, and we were paying most of his wages. I like, and then Shaq Moore, we were able to get his rage down from last year. I mean, I look at this roster and I look at the deals that we've gotten, and I'm like, okay, cool. We've actually made some good deals, or we've made some decent acquisitions that aren't worth that much. And then I look at the top of the roster, and the fact that Ibiaga is our like sixth or seventh highest paid player shocks me and blows my mind. Makes me want to actually like lose it, and it's just one of those things. I don't think half of this blame is on Quill either. It's 90% on Andre Zanata, and the reason why, and I'll sit here and I'll stand on this. I'll stand on business when it comes to Andre Zanata. Alvaro Augusto has been a signing that we've liked this year. Um, we lucked into him. It wasn't like Andre scouted him or nothing like that. Literally, the only reason we knew about him was because we showed up to camp with two center backs, with just Ibiaga and barely had a Bubakar, and then no one could somewhat play center back. But like we showed up to camp with two center backs, and we needed more center backs for scrimmages. So we just said trialist and just threw him back there, and he actually balled out. Like cool, we locked in, or like we lucked in, we lucked in. So then you also got to look at the rest of the roster, like the Leo Chu. Leo Chu honestly was just salary cap filler and just something that worked for the Jesus transfer. There's no way and no reason you look at our roster before trying to get Leo Chu after we just got Julio, where you look at Seattle and be like, yeah, I want Leo Chu. No, if you're smart, you try to target Jackson Reagan, and if I have to, I'll give Jesus Ferreira and like 500K for Jackson Reagan. I don't care. That's a young, promising American center back that won't take international spots, and he's dang good for this league. You look at half the trades we did too, and all the transfers. It looks like we spent so much money. No, we spent a total of 300K this offseason. A total of 300K. You go through the transfer fees and the trade market and everything else. We spent a total like margin of 300K. That's how much we spent technically. Like it's unacceptable that we're sitting here saying, "Oh, but we're acquiring Osaze for 2 mil, Lucha for 4." Yeah, we sold Allen for 10. Man, take that 10 million and invest it into actually pieces that we need, not just an old attacking midfielder in Lucho. Who, to be fair, he's starting to look better. It looks like we're starting to fit more around him. It's getting better. It's not as bad as it was week 1 through 8 of the season. Okay, and then you look at the rest of this like team, and it's utter like pardon my language, it's utter dog shit. It's just terrible. There's no other word for it. I don't hardly cuss on the show, and when I do, it's because I'm genuinely pissed off. You need to sit down, look at Andre Zanata in the face, and be like, "Dog, what the actual hell are you doing?" I understand he can spell well, which is great, but we need someone who can actually buy decent talent and build this team back up. If we're gonna let these academy kids go to Houston and Austin like we had the past 5 years, and they're starting to get damn good talent that's going off to college and getting drafted by other teams. But I won't go there. I can sit here and rant for 30 minutes about that and the academy background that I've heard since Nico was there. I'm not going to go there. But there's a reason why our talent from the academy is not as good as it used to be, and you got to blame 100% starts with Nico, and also Zanata apparently rejected a lot of the academy kids from going up to the senior roster because they don't want to pay them or whatever the hell. So it's just so much drama, but I'm over it.
Great. That's great. You got a lot of love in the chat here. Hey, Hoach. Hey, Zan. Hey, Luis. Thanks for listening in. Yeah, you guys think Quill's on the hot seat? All right. You guys think Quill is on the hot seat, and yeah, maybe Zanata should be as well. Maybe some coaching staff. I saw that mentioned in the chat earlier. Drew Keeshan, been a long time goalkeeper coach. Long time goalkeeper coach, set piece coach. It's just a performance like this, you're like, what are you doing? What are we doing? And I do think at the very least, there's got to be a change over the next couple of weeks. Even if it's, hey, we've demoted a coach, we're bringing in someone fresh, we're making some kind of restructuring a little bit, because I think you need to send a message to the players that like this is not, is not sustainable. This is not good enough. And yeah, that we're going to be looking to overhaul this thing to make it work. And if players are the problem, then you need to have that conversation with players and be like, look, this has not been up to standard. I know it's been frustrating. I know the bounces haven't always gone your way, but you've got to elevate. You've got to get your mental state right, whatever it is that you need to do, or else we need to move on from you. And we're going to be looking at those options, even if we take a hit in the short term. And then gosh, it's almost so crazy. Like Sam Sarver made his debut on Friday night. Credit to the North Texas having scored his 10th goal in North Texas's win on Thursday night over Minnesota United FC2. They really rebounded. But there is nothing to lose at this point to say, if we want 2 wingers, let's give Sam Sarver a run out. Let's bring him in on that short-term loan. There is nothing to lose. Yeah, he's probably not going to be a world beater yet, and he's 22-year-old, But at this point, you say, why not turn over to some different structures of this team, different formations, different tweaks to try to get the most, to get something fresh out of these guys. But it's a tricky one. Yeah, Luis, I think everyone here has been agreed that Quill is on the hot seat. I mean, the home form in particular. Jose, you made a good point of just if we're talking about away losses, but a solid home form, yeah, he's got time. But the home form has been disastrous.
It's a combination of the form at home and the form on the road. So seeing them perform on the road and then being unable to repeat those performances at home, that's the red flag right there. That's where it has to be more than just mental. It has to be preparation. It has to be something. It's like I said, it's frustrating that they're getting the results on the road, so we know they can do it, and then come home and just be flat day after week after week. And I'll have to say that we saw this last year, but we saw it not for an entire of a match. We saw them come out flat for like an entire half or a certain point in the game. But now we're seeing this for large portions of the game, even in games where they've gotten results. The team has only really looked good, 15% of the time of the entire match. They have like these spurts of fantastic play, game in and game out, but we've yet to see them piece anything more than one complete half.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for the entire season. And we're just not seeing it. We just keep seeing this team that gets outplayed for the majority of the match, especially at home. And the only difference is that on the road, they simply are able to piece it together more often than they do at home. At home, like I said, they show flashes here and there, but for the majority of the match, we're like, man, this team is not showing that dog that we were promised.
Right.
We're not seeing it. We're seeing it on the road, but not at home, and it's just puzzling for everybody.
Let's jump over to these transfer rumors, or I guess our confirmation is that Leo Chu is officially out. That has been under the surface, been rumored, been talked about. He hasn't been featuring at all, even on the bench, and he's going to Alverca, who is recently promoted in the Portugal league, and so that no ideas yet what the Portuguese top flight that is. I don't know what kickback we'll get, if we get a little bit of something or the other out of it, and maybe a free transfer. And then this other news, Rafael Vega has and this is the English translation, so it's kind of weird, but there's been some inquiries, including evidently from FC Dallas, and in the same sentence, Inter Milan, which is pretty wild, to leave Palmeiras, an attacking midfielder, which has us wondering. He would definitely have to be a designated player, and if we're bidding against Inter Milan, I'm just not holding my breath on us winning that. But a good player. I think a quality, solid player, good player, would be an improvement. Not sure how it would fit tactically with what we want to do, unless maybe Lucho is leaving too, or I just don't know. But wild news. So Leo Chu is out. Rafael Vega is a rumor. Fascinating that we're that's maybe Dallas just inquired and that's it. But any thoughts? I mean, we've already talked about Leo Chu. It's overdue. He, I didn't mind giving him a run.
Okay, I'll give you
that-
my thoughts on this. I think this is just some agent talking smack. I mean, this. I'm not the most knowledgeable person on Raphael, but I mean, last I heard, he had like a $60 million release clause, and the lowest number I've heard is 15 million. I can't see this team paying that much for a number 10. I mean, you already have Acosta, and unless you're going to sell him and then pay more than twice what you paid for him to bring in another player, that just sounds ridiculous. I don't get it. This player doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I think it's just a whole lot of nothing. I think it's just some agent chatter trying to get some. You could have picked a different team than FC Dallas if you're just trying to throw MLS around.
Yeah, I think also the reason Inter Milan might be swirled in here is there's a rumor that they're going after what's his name, Rios, Richard Rios. He's a central midfielder from Palmeiras. So it's very easy that agent could have been like, oh well, Inter Milan's calling about my player too, not just Richard Rios. Fabrizio tweeted that earlier that Inter Milan are going after him. So it could be very much we might be actually looking at him because he can play 8. That's the thing. He can play in a deeper line, and maybe I'm not trying to be that kind of guy either because I would hate to put Lucho as an 8. But with how lazy Lucho is and how slow he's getting, I wonder if they're going to try and play him as maybe an 8, or maybe we run like a 4-2-2 where you have or even like a 4-2-3-1 that lets the cam become a striker with Lucho, and then maybe play Vega as like a wide cam with Julio on the other wing. Maybe that happens. I don't know.
You could just
or maybe
move Acosta to the wing because let's face it, he spent so much time there anyway.
Yeah, that too. It's just something that like it also puzzles me how it would work. So I see like obviously Luis and Hotch have been talking about it in chat. We also got to remember Ines Sally is coming back, so we had to offload either Chu or someone else to fit the 2 DP, and the 4 U22s. Because technically we had 5. Chu was still a U22, and then Patrickson's a U22. Gio's a U22, but I believe we put him on the season ending list, I think. Kaike's a U22, and then Salih's a U22. So we have the 3 and 2 already, or the 4 and 2. So it's one of those things where someone had to go if we're going to bring in either another DP or if we're going to bring in another U22. Now, if I'm Dallas, at this point, do you just say screw it and do the rare thing in MLS and bring in a DP center back and pray to God he's just a god? Like, do you just do that, or do you actually use your DP money on a clinical like winger, like a Facundo Torres or someone else, or do you go pick someone else from the league? Yeah, literally, Luis just put the GAM thing, and that's the thing. Like I was saying early in the show, like the GAM doesn't expire anymore, thanks to interleague trades with money. Do you throw GAM in money at someone in the league that's a DP that's like not getting that much playing time or like that's getting older? It's just one of those things you got to explore the league. And something that like pisses me off still from the beginning of the year is we needed a center mid. They can play box to box. You know who was up for a free agent? Ben Bender, released by Charlotte, making cheap wages, wasn't going to be asking for much. He's within our salary cap confines. Philly picks him up, and he's been balling for Philly ever since. And then you also look at Andrew Brody, center back, right back. We need right back depth, and we need center back depth. And Andrew Brody for RSL was huge, was great, and now he's playing. I believe Kansas City has him now, and he's been doing all right, playing a little bit of left back too. You look at these kind of players that are available in the league that were free agents or that will be free agents this upcoming winter, and even some this summer that are coming in, and the thing that Dallas needs to do, in my opinion, is get some of these MLS experienced guys as your depth and make them like get the American guys. And I'm not trying to sit here and be like an American elitist or anything, but like for the confines of the roster, it saves you international roster spots to be able to spend on these DPs and also maybe even trade for your depth. I mean, look at what Nashville did. They traded all this international roster spots for depth and the American depth. What they do? They brought in Cochran from us. They brought in players like Mule. They brought in players like their not their first goalkeeper, the goalkeeper that wears the helmet like Czech. Like they brought him in, and he's been outstanding. It's one of those things where like people in this league are showing you, Andre, how to freaking make a roster. They're showing you how to build one. You can destroy one all you want. The deals for Areola, great. Get them off the books. The Jesus Ferreira deal, sure. Maybe they don't want to give you something good for Jesus Ferreira because let's be real. I think ever since that injury, he just hasn't been that good. Sucks that he's gone, but still. And it's just like, it's just one of those things. Like we need another winger. Yeah, there, bro. I love Luis. We need another winger, in my opinion. We need a true winger that can cut in and score, like a Castillo type. And I hate to be that guy. Like even a Barrios or an Andres Escobar. I think people underestimate how good Andres Escobar was when he played for this team. Just someone who's pacey, who can get on the ball and dribble well, and then lay it off. He doesn't have to sit here and cut inside and finish, or sit here and do these fancy flicks like Lucho. Get the ball to Lucho. We have two pacey wingers with Musa in the middle, and these wingers that can deliver with maybe a right back, Shaq, or a left back and Marco that can come in and support behind them. Like, man. And then we have the midfielders to play it like a 4-2-3-1 like we used to. We have the center backs that are a little bit slower, so we're Kaike playing super deep instead of playing like a kind of a half mid-6, mid-8. Like, the thing is right there in front of you. And we have not spent money. I will not take this. We spent so much money this year. We didn't spend crap. We spent a profit of $300K based on the transfers we made. We have money to spend. Go freaking spend it or go trade it in the league. And I want at least 3 new transfers this summer. I don't think it's going to happen. But I would like to see at least 3 new names and one of them be either a U22 winger or a DP winger and go from there.
Good stuff. I mean, the earlier question that I think Hutch put down was like, hey, what if you could have a minute or whatever with Dan Hunt, what would you ask him? And I wish we could see peek behind the curtains. I mean, Koob, I know you hear things. I hear things from time to time, but like maybe FC Dallas also has a problem. Maybe there's multiple levels to this, and maybe one of the problems is like there are players out there who are like, I just don't want to come to Frisco. That's that I've heard things. That franchise hasn't treated people right, or and if that's true, isn't fixed overnight. Certainly throwing money at it can help by paying people a little bit more to come, and maybe that's what they've had to do. But it seems like too you even want as a front office to say, how can we improve the working environment, the professional environment, the resources we offer athletes, and the support we offer, and make it in a place that's fun, where there's nice traditions and it feels like you're part of something. And those are long-term things. I mean, the classic story in Dallas is Mark Cuban taking over the Mavericks and, checking seat by seat to make sure, the game experience was good, creating, bringing in people to make sure the experience of watching and being a part of the team, all aspects were something you wanted that could attract a high talent. And maybe Dallas has some work to do even on that kind of level of things, as well as everything else that we're talking about here. So that's my wondering too. I mean, we traded Sam Hunka, which was, in retrospect, we miss him. He provided a lot of versatility. Yes. And I was like, fine, it's fine. It's a bargain piece, but gosh, he would have been useful through some of this run. So maybe we undervalued him. But Anderson Julio has been good, so I think that's I still probably take that trade. And that's the question, Luis. Yeah, who would have thought Anderson Julio would have been one of the most important FCD players this season? Yeah, I haven't heard about Enes Sali. I'm assuming he's coming back. I don't think he featured that much. where he is. Maybe they're negotiating a lower transfer fee or something like that. If he comes back, my wondering is, can you get him off the books by loading him permanently to North Texas for the rest of the season? North Texas could use another attacking player, if Solly's willing to return and play. But I'm not so sure if he's would prefer to move on at this point in his career.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all waiting for that shoe to sort of
The,
drop.
the problem with Enes Salih is they spent so much on him that they're simply not going to just offload him for nothing. And he's too good for North Texas, so he either has to be sent out on loan for to say the USL Championship or USL One. But the truth is, with the way this team is performing and the fact that we have a hole on the wing, fuck it, give him some minutes in the first team. Let's see what he's got. I mean, why not? No one's performing next to Julio, and when they've played Farrington, who I'd like to, see given a shot at wing, they've played him up top. They haven't actually played him on the wing. So why not give Enes Ali a couple of runouts and see if he does anything at all? Because let's face it, there's some players that turn it on during the game, even if they're not looking great in practice or anything like that. They're just players. They're just ballers. Give the kid some minutes. See what he does. See if he has anything. And if he doesn't, you got a couple of weeks to send him out on loan or whatnot. Why not? This team needs somebody there. I mean, Kamungo's out. He hasn't really been playing well enough to say I'm going to miss him while he's out. I'm going to miss him because we lack depth there. We're already, bare bones at that position. So I'm just saying, yeah, fuck it. Let's see if Enes Salih has anything at all.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned real quick, and I just want to jump over to it. Credit to Sam Sarver, had a really nice goal in this one. And in the game on Thursday night, Tariq Scott had a brace. I mean, credit to Tariq. And Tariq's another guy that, really is a senior player and maybe needs to have something to play. But, Sam Sarver made his debut on Friday night with the first team. The kid's 10 goals this season. He's been a great pickup for them. And that goal, by the way, is up for goal of the week for MLS Next Pro. So go vote on him. Go find MLS Next Pro's Twitter account, whatever, and go vote for Sam Sarver. Throw him some love. But he's another name to throw in the mix as we think, hey, at what point does the season do you start evaluating who's going to be a piece going forward? And even for guys like Kamungo, is maybe the moment has passed him by, and Kamungo needs to drop down a level and figure himself out, or what, And yes, Luis, Sarver played. He played about 60 minutes for North Texas, and then came in at that final minute, which also shows a team that is desperate for bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
the North Texas to first team pipeline is in a weird place. There's some good things, there's some good stories, but there's also guys like Carl Sante who even got a little bit of minutes here and there, but now is gone. Thomas Pondeka, some guys like that, and I don't know if that hope was that they'll keep developing and then maybe come back and compete, or if it's just like the jump is too high for North Texas players to go to the first team. But
it is too high of a jump, and some can make it like Pedrinho, and some can't. And the problem, look, the academy's fine. The only problem the academy has is it doesn't have those guaranteed future stars like we saw earlier, but they do have talent. I mean, we just had our I'm sorry, our former goalkeeper. I can't think of his name.
Carrera.
Not Carrera. The one that got away.
Eye Stone.
Eystone.
Nice.
He just got promoted to the senior team over in Europe. I mean, someone like that. You see Cochran playing for another MLS team.
For
The
Nashville.
academy has talent. You just can't be missing out on that talent. You know, Eystone. Yes, you say, hey, we had a bottleneck at that spot. I don't know. I don't know how FC Dallas is missing out on some of this academy talent. But let's face it, we've lost quite a few talented academy players to other teams. So I don't think there's an issue with the academy. I think it's what are you doing to lose some of your better looking prospects, and frankly, I think just give it time. I do like that North Texas is starting to sign some of these kids from the academy, but that's going to take years. You're just going to take 2-3 years to get that pipeline patched up and producing the way it needs to produce for FC Dallas. It's not going to happen overnight, especially if there's no surefire players.
Yeah.
So that's all you can do. Is I think the team, as far as the academy is concerned, is headed back in the right direction after what happened last year. But it's not a quick fix, and it's not going to fix the issues in the starting lineup. It might fix some of your depth issues, but it will take, like I said, it's a long term. It's 2-3 years before we start seeing some of these players producing where they can be productive. I mean, look at Norris. How long did it take him to become a player that can give us quality minutes on a regular for the starting roster? He's been with the team for a while, and it takes time for some of these players, especially because of that gap between North Texas and FC Dallas. But I think the academy is fine. I just, it'll come around. It's just not the fix we need now. It's not going to fix this season. Like Kuv was saying, I do agree with some stuff he said earlier. We got to go get a third DP. That's really the only way that we have a chance to turn this season around. We need a third DP brought in. Another U22 isn't going to cut it. Make it happen. Figure it out. Otherwise, you need to basically just come clean and say, hey, we're rebuilding for next year. And just let us off the hook on that. Don't try to get our hopes up.
Well, all right. We covered a lot of ground. We talked about FC Dallas's third straight home loss. We've talked about North Texas's win, just a bit there. And we've gotten into Quill on the hot seat, the problems in this team, transfer rumors. Thank you all for the chat. Really appreciate it. A lot to look forward to, but I think we're going to have to leave it there. We could talk all night probably. And even kind of hoping to get a chance and just give a shout out to Chris Richards, FC Dallas Academy alum. Had a really good Gold Cup tournament. Proud of him. Good for him. It's good to see some big moments from that young defender who I think has cemented his spot in the World Cup next year. So good stuff. Good to see that happening. But Colin, hang in there. Hang in there.
Well, that goes to everybody. That goes to everybody.
FC Dallas is away in LA next weekend. Now, here's the sad thing is I'm going to be in Memphis, so I don't know that we're going to do a show next Monday. I'm going to see if I can figure it out, but I'll be in a hotel somewhere, so in Memphis. So, unfortunately, have a work trip ahead, so won't be there to cover the game in person. And maybe media folks don't want to see me anyway. But hoping for the best for that. Hoping the team grabs a gutsy draw to build some confidence back up. But I think it's going to be another loss. I think LAFC is going to take care of things against FC Dallas, and so I'm not too hopeful about this weekend. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the comments, questions, Luis, Hotch. Who was up there? Zan. Yeah, a lot of good voices tonight. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate Colin. Of course, Afterburn.soccer will post the podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you find podcasts. Just look for Afterburn Soccer. Listen in. Help support the show. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. All right, man.